there's a crew in town. The head hillbillies are making their rounds. Small town whispers loud and clear. The sheriff shot the judge in his chambers chair.
Sheriff got a secret he won't keep. Judge shot dead in his disbelief. A lot of people have some stories to tell. Dark pass away, get the sound of a shotgun shell.
All the secrets spill on down. Voices loud in this old town. From the courthouse to the ground, rumors fly and they can't be bound.
Neighbors hide behind their blinds, whisper tales of troubled minds. Skeletons covering the mountainside, a treacherous reality in the pine.
Winter reveals the hidden lies. Moonlight couldn't mask their cries. Shadows caught in sunlit skies. There's no cover, no disguise. All the secrets spill on down. Voices loud in this old town. From the courthouse to the ground, rumors fly and they can't be bound.
Winter reveals the hidden lie. Moonlight could mask their cries. Shadows caught in sunlit skies. There's no cover, no disguise.
All the secrets spill on down. Voices loud in this old town. From the courthouse to the ground, rumors fly and they can't be bound.
Hello, hello. Welcome to the show. How is everybody tonight? Let me get my camera fixed. Welcome.
Hi.
This is Hillbilly Crime. Hi, Jenny. How you doing?
Hopefully my lips look better this week. They're not so disturbed. Sounds like my dog is getting ready to start barking.
That's all right, honey. You look beautiful as always.
Thank you.
Jenny, you're welcome. So anybody who's not familiar, Jenny, this is Jennifer Taylor. She is an attorney at law here in Kentucky. She does a lot of different kind of work, and I'm going to give it to her and let her tell you what she does.
Well, lately I've been working on, I went out of town this weekend. I had to go to Elizabethtown to go to Grayson. I had some federal clients there. I handle criminal defense. Hoping to build my practice up to doing more federal criminal defense. I was out for a couple of years for breast cancer, and now I'm back to working, and I got locked out of my Facebook page, so I made a new one, and I made a new one for my office, and it's disappeared. So there's a conspiracy against me, and I don't know.
Well, so Jenny has been doing some digging on one of the big cases, or the big stories that isn't really out there much right now, is it? That's something that she said the other day. She was really surprised that this has not been picked up more.
Right. I'm a serial killer lover. Have always loved reading about him, watching Silence of the Lambs, even though it was fake, just everything. And this story with Scotty Shelton that comes out of London, I have been digging deeper into it. And it is, oh my goodness, they've just arrested him on state charges that were like having deer heads and then I think 500 grams or more of trafficking meth. But there is so much to it, and that what he knew for how long and the feds know we're going to get into later. But this should be national news. This is insane.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Let me pull up my folder here. I got me a folder ready for this case, but we were trying to get ready for this. I don't know. I got something going on with my eye. I thought maybe I had a sty in it or something. Let's see. Wonder what I put.
I thought I was running late because I was asleep, and you texted me, and you're like, "Well, I was just waking up too." So,
Man, I've been exhausted. I have been exhausted. I've been doing a lot of work. I know you have too.
yeah,
Shelton. What was his name? Scotty Shelton?
Scotty, not
All
Scott. Scotty, of course, it had to be something like that.
All right, DEA helps. Okay, so let me pull this out so we can read it together. This guy was a confidential informant for the DEA, is what it looks like.
For a lot of cases, is what it sounds like as well. For a long time, before we get into it, I looked into PACER, which is the federal database, Criminal Eastern District database, along with CourtNet, which is state. And the only other crime he has, minus the 2025 crimes that he has for state, which are like having an unlawful 20 deer heads, is maybe a speeding ticket. He has nothing in PACER, which is the federal database. So when we get into it, it'll show just how sure he was to contact the feds and what kind of informant do they have working for him.
Well, I guarantee you he had some big time cop friends. You know, he did. He was right in on the inside circle. These guys do not get this far. You know, you don't get that far in life as a criminal with no criminal record except for, you know, what you just said. Let's read this article. It says, London, Kentucky, a drug enforcement administration visit, that's DEA, in eastern Kentucky unearthed not only narcotics, but what appeared to be a torture chamber, along with human and animal remains, according to federal court documents. Scotty Shelton is facing federal drug charges for possessing over 500 grams of meth. Scotty Shelton is facing federal drug charges for possessing that. According to a federal criminal complaint, the DEA was investigating recent connections between Shelton and targets in other DEA investigations into rug reeling. So that means, just to reread that, because sometimes I will read something and it just goes right over my head. It goes in one ear and right out the other. I didn't understand what I just read. So let me read it again. It says that they were investigating recent connections between Shelton and targets in other DEA investigations into rug reeling. So that to me says they were investigating their CI. On August 12th, The DEA arrived at Shelton's home on Southern Oaks Road in London, Kentucky. They were there in an attempt to talk to them about the drug trafficking investigations. Behind the primary residence, there's a white sheet metal structure. DEA agents noted that a green Toyota FJ Cruiser was parked in front of the metal structure, and they saw a mail with Shelton's name on it. Agents said they made multiple attempts to contact Shelton at both buildings, but were unsuccessful. According to the federal criminal complaint, agents smelled a strong and pungent odor that was similar to a decaying corpse coming from the white metal structure. Agents contacted an informant who told them they had personally seen a jail cell built in the second story of the white metal structure, according to court records. So this guy had an actual jail cell and a torture chamber, right? I mean, within close enough proximity that they could smell it.
I'm picturing where he lived, because in the affidavit it discusses several different buildings.
Yeah.
I'm picturing it as a compound. I don't know if you could Google Earth it, but just with different buildings and just, how much land there would be out there.
Yeah. I think that they've got a video on this article. We'll play the video here in a second, and maybe they'll have some pictures of it too. They usually do. Hopefully they will. Agents contacted an informant who told them they had personally seen the jail cell on the second story. The informant said in 2020 they received photos from Shelton displaying a young female restrained inside of the jail cell, according to federal documents. And this is the cops' source of information about these rug reelers. And we've got our courtrooms down here preaching about SB 90, Senate Bill 90. This is, I
brought this story up to Elizabeth, I believe, yesterday or 2 days ago, and I was like, I want to go on and talk about it because it is unbelievable. I mean, some channels are covering it, but it's not ridiculous because crimes happen. But what has occurred and what somebody's getting away with, that I'm guessing because he's helping drug traffickers and the FBI and the DEA,
the police,
that you're allowing somebody to be restrained, and you've known about it since 2020.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And look there, it says displaying a young female restrained inside of the jail cell, according to federal documents. The agents,
so that shows there is.
The agents eventually notify the Laurel County Sheriff's Office of the incident and request a welfare check. A welfare check. Oh, okay. Deputies arrived and attempted a welfare check. A short time later, court records show Shelton exited the white metal structure. Deputies explained why they were there, and Shelton gave deputies consent to search the building due to the decay and smell. Well, okay, while doing a preliminary search, deputies located a cell-like room upstairs that appeared to be a torture chamber with handcuffs, rope, and other devices, along with a large number of firearms, the complaint said. Downstairs, deputies located a deer carcass that was inside another room with a lot of disturbed earth, according to documents. DEA agents spoke with Shelton about the sale and use of narcotics. Well, yeah, because that's most important. Shelton advised that historically he would bury the drugs around his property and was trying to locate them, documents said. Agents noted a fresh pile of dirt and Shelton invited deputies to go up to the dirt. While digging up the dirt, agents and deputies observed what appeared to be a human bone, the complaint said. Shelton advised law enforcement that an unknown male had brought Indian remains to his residence and buried them in the garage area. Well,
Because that's what always happens, some unknown male always comes to my house and buries Indian bones. I mean,
my gosh, we've got serial killers in Eastern Kentucky that are working for the police. I mean, you cannot make this up.
and did you catch that they were doing a welfare check? The feds were. They had to, and I don't know why, but I'm guessing from experience that maybe somebody tipped him off that he would be harmed, or they were just wanting to get up with him in regards to information that he could provide to them, because they had to call Laurel County Sheriff's Department to make an arrest. And then they arrested him on two different cases, 25M cases, and it was just about like having illegal wildlife. Not even any gun charges. You didn't even mention how much meth and how much pills were found, but he said he buried them in 2020 and he just got around to discovering them and finding them. I mean,
yeah, none of that makes sense. None of that even makes a bit of sense. He says while digging up the dirt, they appeared to find the human bone. Okay. At that time, agents and deputies secured the scene, and the Laurel County Sheriff's Office obtained a search warrant for Shelton's property. During an interview with agents, Shelton said he buried 8 kilograms of meth and an unknown amount of pills in 2020, and he had forgotten the exact location, according to the court documents. He also admitted to finding some of the rugs recently, then sold and used them personally, documents said. Shelton then drew a map to where he thought the rugs were hidden, the complaint said. Okay, so let's go up here and see if they've got any pictures.
And there were 6,000 oxycodones that you just forgot about.
Unbelievable. Let's see if they got any pictures here. No, DEA performed house raid, London, Kentucky. Scotty Shelton buried rugs on property, faces federal rug charges. Yeah. Like one of the pictures that I saw. Let me go over here, and it was
actually like a straight up menace to society. I wouldn't trust him.
Oh, he looked scary. Oops. Okay. Yeah, he looked very scary. Let me pull up these documents that you sent over. So Jenny did a ton of work pulling up all these documents. And do you want to tell us what they are? What all you sent?
Let me look and see. Are you pulling up like the citations of the state court from CourtNet?
Yeah.
First of all, with the CourtNet citations, I saw somebody in the chat mention turkey beards and toes or something. I'm not an outdoorsman. I don't like being outdoors. But I'm guessing because he got charged and she's pulling it up with hunting violations in 2 different charges. And there were like 20 deer skull and caps, turkey beards over an inch. I don't know. I don't know this stuff. But that's all he was charged with was hunting violations for state court. For federal court, they did a criminal complaint along with an affidavit, which the affidavit spoke about it's the sworn statement by a law enforcement officer, which was one of the federal agents that gives the details of the case. A lot of times you'll hear, and it does occur, grand jury indictments. I found it unusual that this was a criminal complaint with an affidavit. They use those more for speed and tactic to, in case they're worried about somebody that's going to destroy property or poses a danger to the public, which obviously he has posed a danger to the public for years. So I don't know why it took them, why they had to do a criminal complaint, but maybe he thought that they were finally getting on him for these Indian bones and whatever else is buried. Grand jury proceedings, they are, which he has not been indicted yet. They have 30 days to indict him if he's in custody, which I would hope he wasn't. He stays in custody, or I believe 60 if he's not in custody. And that's where the prosecution builds their case. Also, he could get a criminal defense attorney who could possibly negotiate not bringing an indictment. I don't see that as likely. I mean, it's kind of outrageous. They didn't charge him with the 6,000 oxycodones that he forgot he buried in 2020, but didn't draw a map to. They just charged him with over 500 grams or more of meth in federal court. It's all very suspicious, and London has had a lot of stuff coming out of it lately with the unaliving of the innocent guy who they thought was getting the weed eater, going to serve a search warrant with. I haven't been following the mayor, but the mayor and the city council. And then I also was looking last night in regards to there are a lot of missing young women that have been missing since 2020, 2021 in that vicinity.
There sure have been.
There's tons of people in Eastern Kentucky missing. But there seems to be an uprising, and I put it into my chat GPT as well to analyze it. And in comparison to like the 5 years prior to that, there's more individuals, and they chalk it up to runaways or ODs or, you know, something to that nature. And it just makes me think that somebody that has a dungeon to somebody that has a dungeon level upstairs, that's what, and he has pills and meth. What was he leading these women up there for? And they had knowledge, the feds had knowledge of this from an informant stating that he saw pictures of a young female in 2020. So it just doesn't make sense whatsoever. I think a lot of the news stations should be covering this. Maybe we're going to be the first ones to get a jump on it. But I'm just amazed. This is like out of a horror story. And that's the criminal complaint that was stating that on August 12th, that was when the DEA agents went for, I believe it's a welfare check, or they were doing a check on Scotty Shelton. And then attached to that is the affidavit, and that's what brought to get him arrested. That stood in place for the indictment, but the indictment would eventually come down the lines. In this affidavit, I just find it interesting, the whole issue of saying some unknown man brought an Indian bone and buried it in his yard.
Do you want to read this, or do you want me to? We don't have to read all of it.
All it discusses in the beginning is the agent's, his training, and that he'd been with the DEA for a certain number of years, and I believe he'd been with the Federal Bureau of Prisons prior to that, and that he's empowered to conduct investigations.
Look at number 2. Me and Jenny talked about this last night, I think. Look at number 2. I have been a special agent with the DEA for approximately 1 year. I attended DEA's basic agent trainee and academy in Quantico, Virginia. I'm currently assigned to the London resident office. Prior to the DEA, he worked with the federal prisons. But, you know, I want to point out something. This guy that's writing the affidavit, I don't know, because I haven't read all of this yet or not, but it seems like he's picked up on something maybe that other people that had been there for years and years and years that was either letting it go purposefully, or they were so incompetent that they weren't catching on to it. So I
caught on to that too, that I think that because he had training and he had worked for the Federal Bureau of Prisons prior to that for 8 or 9 years. And just for somebody that's got a year of experience with that agency to be able to write, and I believe it's 8 pages, it could be shorter or longer, of an affidavit, and he wrote it real fast because I believe it was signed on the 13th and this occurred on the 12th. So he had to be typing, and he had to have that information beforehand and not just what they came upon. So I think he was ready and waiting. I don't know him from Joe Blow, but he seemed to be on it.
Yeah, I would like more information on that, you know, to be able to find out, what did this guy know? You know, like all the stuff that's been going on here in Letcher County, there have been rumors about this stuff for years and years and years. You would think that there are also rumors that were going around London for years and years and years. If there was a torture chamber, I mean, we've heard about the gingerbread house here. I'm sure they've heard about the torture chamber.
And it seems like it's a 2-story. It's got white siding on it. And from the affidavit, or from what I've read, his father was in one house, and then he resided in another house on the property. And then this white building that he known to stay in with the deer carcass. And on the 2nd floor was the jail cell, torture jail. I mean, they put in that they drove, I forgot how the manner was, but it was indicated they had to drive to another place on the property. So that had to be a compound. That had to be, I mean, what kind of money are we talking about here? Was he living off his daddy's? Who is this Scotty Shelton?
Yeah, and how much property does he have? How much property does his family have? Because
exactly,
it's not just him. You got to look at how much this stuff is family owned and operated, lived on. Details of the investigation. Let's read some of that. DEA London resident, and I'm going to kind of pick through it so we won't read all the boring stuff. Identified recent connections between Scotty and targets in other investigations regarding substance abuse, controlled substances. Investigators were further aware that Shelton had cooperated with law enforcement in the past and provided information regarding the distribution. So he was a rat. On August 12th, 25, DEA Special Agent Matt Fackler, David Wilson, and Task Force Officer James Grigsby arrived at the property of Scott Shelton. So that was three officers there. I don't know what all they were from.
I think one was definitely probably his handler, which is somebody that handles the informants. That's what I call them. I don't know what their legit title is, but we see them in movies as handling them.
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. The intent of the agents was to locate Shelton and make consensual contact with him regarding knowledge of the aforementioned drug trafficking investigations. Located approximately 100 yards behind the primary residential structure was a white sheet metal structure. Prior information had identified that Shelton is known to reside in this building. So his daddy probably resided in the house and he probably lived in that building. That's kind of how that's kind of how, like I've told before, it's like little clans. You know, you might have one big piece of property and have a main house, and then they'll put a trailer, a single wide trailer at the end for cousin Susie, and they might put an outbuilding up on the hill for Uncle George, you know, and then they'll put another double wide down on the other end of the county for Sister Charlotte.
But then you had a deer carcass rotting there too.
There you go. All right. The vehicle was The vehicle was parked in front of the white structure. Agents observed male on the dashboard. Agents made multiple attempts to contact Shelton at the primary residence and the white structure, but were unsuccessful. Upon approaching the white building, all agents observed a strong and pungent odor coming from within the structure. Based on agents' law enforcement experience, the odor was similar to a decaying corpse. Can you imagine the Halloween stories, the scary stories that this town has at night? And if you go up by old man Shelton's place, you better be careful. I mean, this is stuff that nightmares are made of. Are you kidding me? And this is who the cops are just taking their word for it.
And I'm sure everybody knew that he was a rug dealer. They were getting up with him to narc on other activity because it was a consensual encounter. They weren't going after him because he discovered all this in his backyard, which makes you wonder how big the yard is. He had to draw a treasure map to show where it was at.
What me and Jenny talked about last night was, you know, it really makes you wonder, how long did they already know about Scotty Shelton and his extracurricular activities, and they saw the writing on the wall with the Kentucky State Police investigations with Mayor Weddle and Andy Bashir? You've got the wrong house search warrant. You've got the sextortion and the sex trafficking from the courthouse with Judge Mullins. You've got so many insane, but I've been saying it for a long time. This is an organized crime syndicate. It's a syndicate. Like, people think I'm just crazy or I'm just talking to hear myself talk. Did they see all this stuff coming and think, oh shit, we've got to cover our ass and we got to get him off the street?
And what if Scotty was where they took women and men to disappear? Who's to say what else is in there in that huge property? How many other bones they're going to discover?
Listen, this could be exactly what Mickey Steins was scared of. Are they going to take me to the torture chamber? It's not that far away from here. How far is it, Jenny?
London's
London.
about 2.5 hours from Leslie County. It's a good. I want to say I fly, so it don't count. But from Leslie County, I'd say it's about 45 miles, maybe. Leslie's in between London and Whitesburg, right
It's
outside
close
the house.
enough. It's close enough.
Oh, Scotty Shelton! Everybody's gonna dress up like him for Halloween.
I'm telling you, and wait until, I mean, if he's got enough people up there that the smell, like they can smell it when they get out of their vehicle. I mean, somebody should have known something before now.
He's saying it was a deer carcass, but what about all these animal bones as well? They charged him with. A lot of people either start with animals or
Yeah.
they incorporate animals into it, and he could have used
Yeah.
the deer carcass to throw off the stench of dead human decay. That would be a good excuse for it, because you just everybody I don't think everybody knows the stench of death, but you know what a rotten animal on the side of the road smells like.
Oh yeah.
And
Oh
that
yeah.
can cover up a lot.
And it said that they had a picture of a woman in a jail cell
In 2020.
In 2020. Why didn't they go out and investigate that? Why didn't they go to the house and try and investigate and make contact with him over that, as opposed to, oh, we're going to go talk to him about a drug investigation? Well, I think a woman being held in a freaking torture chamber in an underground or in a second story jail cell in a house, like, I just can't with Kentucky and our freaking law enforcement. I mean,
it's not even state. This is federal law enforcement.
Thank you. It ain't no wonder the feds ain't doing nothing. It ain't no wonder that the feds come in here and give Scott Blair 4.5 years and never charge him with a drug charge or a SMEX charge. One, he gets fraud. And did you see that they've pulled up more charges on Judge Hall from Pike County?
I did. And they said that one of the people, J.H., ran against Judge Varney, who Judge Varney, Kent Varney's a good friend of mine, and that was Justin Hamilton, who was J.H. He was big buddy with Judge Hall.
You know how awful it would be to be trying to tell on somebody. Like, say you were Mickey Steins, say you were one of these other law enforcement people, and you were calling the DEA agent, you were calling the FBI, you were calling the state police, asking them for for some investigation, and going through the years and being like, man, nothing's coming of this, nothing's coming of this, nothing's coming of this, and then find out the same people that you're going to ask for help and to report this stuff to, they're complicit.
They're in on the torture chamber.
I mean, like, we are really talking about some serious stuff. So I was watching an interview today that they did with Ghislaine Maxwell, which is the female that they put in prison for Epstein, the big Epstein list, the SMEX list, the SMEX client list that they supposedly had. Well, that kind of thing is exactly what we're talking about here. You've got a lot of really powerful men who are in a lot of powerful positions in law enforcement, in the justice system, in political positions, and they're all freaks of nature with a freak number that goes above double digits. And so they're trying to keep all that stuff on the down low. And my God, I'm just in shock.
I didn't watch the interview. What
Oh,
was
she
it?
said that
Anything revelation was?
she just said that that she had never seen a list. She said that there was a contact book that he had, like most of us have. We have a book that has all of our important numbers, and stuff like that. And she said that he had a contact book, or that they had one, and it had all kinds of people's names and phone numbers and stuff like that in it. But it wasn't it wasn't like a madam client list. It was just the contact information for people. And and so basically you got to, so somebody said a little criticism about my show. They were like, or they told this to Gavin. They said, well, I think that she puts moral judgments on how some people just live their lifestyles, like I guess because I believe in the Lord and stuff like that, if people want to have affairs, if they want to be very sexually active and exhibitionist and stuff like that, that's fine. But they were criticizing that I was, kind of judging that and putting that down. Well, I don't mean to. I really don't. If that's what you want to do, that's fine. But you can't be an elected official. You can't then go run for an elected office and put forward this, squeaky clean image, and then and you can, and nobody can have smacks with inmates or anybody who is under your supervision. Like those are crimes that crosses the line from a lifestyle, a personal lifestyle, to now it's public, and now we need to talk about it. Does that make sense?
It makes sense. I mean, I'm more with I'm more, as long as it's not illegal and it doesn't bother me, do what you want to do. Like, it don't bother me. I know elected officials are going to mess up. They're going to slip and fall into other people's cavities. But just everybody, that makes a person human. And
but you can't take bribes.
You are held to a higher standard as an elected official. However, for me, as long as you let me keep my pew-pews, you keep my taxes low, and you just stay out of my business, I'm good to go.
Listen, that ain't what we're talking about here. We're not talking about just a lifestyle. We are talking about, judges and prosecutors and policemen and politicians committing crimes. We're talking about an organized.
Once it goes on to crime, then that's a different thing. But
Yeah.
when it's just a lifestyle, then
no.
I mean,
right. To each their own. But that ain't what we're talking about here. That ain't what we're talking about here. So let's stay. That ain't what we're talking about here. All right, let me get down here. After attempting to contact Shelton, agents traveled a short distance to another residence that is believed to be on the same property. Agents made contact with Shelton's father, who advised that Scotty lives at the residence where agents attempted to locate him and frequents the white metal structure. Oh, okay. So there were 2 houses.
I
So
think there
Daddy
were
lives.
3.
Oh, okay. Well, it'll
He
tell us.
resides at one, his dad, and then you got the jail place.
Okay. S.A. Fackler contacted SOI, who explained that he or she has personally seen a jail cell built on the 2nd story of the white structure. The SOI, what is that? Is that the
Source of
informant?
information.
Oh, okay. The source of
So that's
information.
a legit informant. Like they're using that information to put into the affidavit to get a criminal complaint against them. So it has to be legit.
Mm-hmm. So
Not
they
legit,
use.
legit. I mean, there can be some room for error, but for it to be, I mean,
They just used one informant to get another.
yeah. Which makes me think that they're trying to get him pew-pewed, letting everybody know that he was a big major informant in the drug transactions. Isn't London near like the interstates in Tennessee? And
Yeah, and because listen, even Ben Fields was telling his girlfriends who the informants were here in Letcher County. Even Ben Fields knows who's ratting, and they tell who's ratting. So don't you think for a second that it's going to be kept quiet and nobody will ever know. If you decide to work with them, they will. It will be known. It will.
this guy must have been working for years. Like I'm guessing deep cover, Hell's Angel. I don't know, but he had enough where he had enough drugs and stuff that people did not probably were like, there's no way that he could have been an informant. Look how much he's been moving and doing and wheeling and dealing.
Yeah, that's
and
what
the women and probably the men he's got up in the jail cell.
Oh yeah, that's what they do. They're doing worse than the ones they're telling on.
Yeah.
It's and the police don't have no respect for the ones who rat neither. They have zero respect for them. Trust me.
Well, we've made it through 48 minutes, and it looks like she's now froze. I'm just seeing people talking about the lifestyles and the not. I'm just to each their own. I'm in a committed relationship with a guy. I don't cheat. He don't cheat. But and if he did, it would be one and done. But if a couple wants to bring in a third party and that's what they're both into, then go for it. I mean, but me and him ain't. It's just to each their own. My dog Elle got back tonight. I got my final fill for my expanders, where I'm getting reconstruction surgery. I had to go to Lexington on Monday, so I'm finally done with the expander part. In about 2 months, I get to go have exchange surgery. So I get, yay, another step in my reconstructive surgery. She's back.
Yay! Jenny is superhero. Girl power, you guys. Girl power.
We need to work on our muscles. Mine like.
That's all right. I'm 50. I'm almost 50 years old. So
I'm like almost 44. So yeah.
I'm old. But my kids are doing cross country and they are running every day and they're doing so good and they're inspiring me. So if you ever want to like go run 10 steps and then walk 20, we'll do it.
Did you see how bad the bugs ate me up when I came to get those boxes at your house like 2 weeks ago? Bugs love me. They just, I'm not outdoorsy. I'm saving. I get to do some lipo for my fat transfers, for my expanders, the implants. So I've got to store up this fat. I have so many people saying that they'll donate, but I'm just storing it up like a bear. So, that's my excuse.
There you go. There you go. Okay, let me get back here. So the source of information stated that in approximately 2020, he or she received photographs from Shelton displaying a young female restrained inside of the jail cell, in which the source of information informed local authorities. So they informed local authorities in 2020 of this. Are you joking? At approximately 3 p.m., Jake Miller notified the Laurel County Sheriff's Office of the incident and requested a welfare check at Southern Oaks Road. Laurel County deputies responded to the address on Southern Oaks Road and attempted to conduct a welfare check. Deputies could smell the strong odor of something decaying. So, did they just get the call? I'm confused over that.
That confuses me. I mean, they're doing a welfare check, so are they
4 years later?
Was he missed? I mean, a welfare check, it sounds like on him. Like, did he not show up for a meeting? But it says a consensual encounter up there too. I mean, so they were meeting to see what's going on.
But they're talking about the photograph there. Look, they're talking about the picture.
Wasn't COVID going on in 2020? I didn't know that people were supposed to be that close into jail cells. Maybe they ignored it when the whole social distancing. They were like, well.
No, that's the cell in his house.
Oh, I know. I was just saying they just ignored it. They were using that.
That's awful, Jenny. That's absolutely awful. Do you know that woman, whoever that poor little old woman was that was up in that jail cell? Could you imagine? Like, I'm like trying to play this out in my mind. Her up here in this tortured,
with
he's got
multiple firearms.
And this guy sends a picture of her to somebody and they say, oh my God, I need to contact the police. They contact the police and they just, and that poor woman, whoever she was.
How many other? I mean, you didn't just construct that jail cell for one individual.
No, this is.
She froze up again. Is anybody from London, Kentucky in here? Is this a big story down that way? Laurel County? I'm not seeing anybody. I'm sure there's some people from London, but London, I just recently, you must not spend much time on Letcher. I'm there once or twice a week. Christmas. So what does everybody think of this Scotty Shelton? I'm looking at the comments now. Somebody gifted a membership. Well, thank you.
Yay!
But, everybody's from Hazard. I was wondering if somebody was from London, if it was a big, like, huge deal down there. Is there so much going on with the mayor and that's misguided the search warrant that really went to the wrong house? I mean, seems like
we haven't heard nothing. We haven't heard nothing about that.
I just happened across it on one of my feeds when I logged on to my browser the other day, and I was like, London, Kentucky? I was thinking maybe the UK.
That was a huge story when it first happened, but then they gave it to the Kentucky State Police, and you've not heard nothing else about it. They just say, "Oh, we're investigating. We're investigating." Uh-huh. I bet you are. So let's get down here. So they show up to Scotty Shelton's, and they notice the smell. They start searching. Shelton gives them consent to search. While conducting a preliminary search of the building, deputies located a cell-like room upstairs in the white structure that appeared to be a torture chamber with handcuffs, rope, and other devices, along with a large number of firearms. Downstairs, deputies located a deer carcass that was inside of another room with a lot of disturbed earth. So then the officers spoke with Shelton about the sale and use of illegal narcotics. And because that's exactly what I would be so concerned about at this point in time. Yep. He advised that historically he would bury the drugs around his property and was trying to locate them. S.A. Fackler observed a fresh pile of disturbed dirt beside the all-terrain vehicle parked in the garage that is attached to the white structure. Shelton said that they could dig up the dirt. So the agents observed what appeared to be a human bone.
One bone.
This is Freddy Krueger stuff, man. Shelton advised law enforcement that an unknown male had brought Indian remains to his residence and buried them in the garage area because we got so many American Indians running around here. I mean, you know. At the time, they secured the scene, and Laurel County Sheriff's Office obtained a search warrant of the property because we trust the Laurel County Sheriff's Office. They're also the ones who served the wrong house search warrant. I mean, you know, we trust
You can only
them.
mess up so many times, and then
We trust.
who's going to investigate when the feds are involved?
Oh, lovely. Lovely. All right. During a post-Miranda interview, he says that he had buried 8 kilograms of meth and an unknown quantity of pills in the garage in approximately 2020 and had forgotten the exact location. Well, 2020 seems to have been a very popular year in this affidavit. Shelton admitted that recently he had remembered where the narcotics were, retrieved them and distributed them to people and used them personally because apparently that's what informants are allowed to do. They're allowed to do all the drug dealing that they want to, as long as they tell on the users, so we can get those users into the courtroom and get them in through Senate Bill 90 and get them into drug court. And that way we can keep them there and, you know, keep that cycle going. What's that sound like to you? And the ones that don't play ball, the ones that go missing? Well, Mr. Scotty Shelton, I mean, who knows? He could be a hitman. He could
He
even
has
be a
plenty of
hitman.
property, it sounds like.
He could be a hitman. If anybody wanted somebody to disappear, well, we know who to go to.
I wonder if they're taking the sonograms or whatever and going over this property to look at more bones, because he just knew that this one bone was there laying. So it kind of threw off the track. Like, you just don't get a random one bone some unknown man brings up. Are they going and digging out like you see, searching for other bodies, other bones?
We don't have we don't have enough trained people filling these positions to do this kind of work. The kind of stuff that you see on TV, on these big things, we don't have that kind of personnel in Kentucky because they fill them all with their cousins and their in-laws. They get them grandfathered in on their training so they don't never
And
have
then
to
once
go to
you,
the police academy.
and with feds, once they get some training, it seems like they leave. I mean, you got this one guy who had 1 year training with the DEA who wrote this affidavit. That brings, I mean, I bet he has a story to tell. I mean, it could just be, and he was the one in charge of writing it. But I think there was something that he had a hunch to, that he was like, there's more to this Scotty Shelton than
Look at the numbers. Look at the numbers. During the search, consistent with locations provided, they found 6,000 pills, oxycodone 30 milligram pills, and 1,200 grams of meth. He was a big time dealer. A
I think that's
big
like 7, 8 pounds of meth. Like, I think that it's, and then he said he buried it and forgot it. Then he remembered where he put it, but then he drew a map. So what is it? His stories don't make sense.
But they were also written by the DEA guy. They don't make sense.
I will tell you this: Assistant U.S. Attorney Pierce Nesbitt, he is good. I have dealt with him before. Both of them are good. But rarely, they have 30 days from the date of this complaint to go before the grand jury to get evidence. And I guess they were thinking that maybe he was really a threat to society, a threat to the community. I mean, really, that's
right.
Or that he was those drugs. But for them to bring a criminal complaint and an affidavit, which is usually done in a rush, they've known for 5 years, at least 5 years, what this dude's been up to.
I mean, he could be a danger to the public, y'all. I mean, he could be. We better do something now. Why now? Why now? Like, why did you decide to do it now? This guy called in the tip in 2020, it says. Why are you just now going 5 years later to do a welfare check? And the welfare check should have been on the girl, don't you think?
Yeah.
Not him. I mean, it makes me...
Not him for some transactional, to talk about some rug transactions where he was not the one in trouble. He was the one they were getting info from. Right.
That doesn't make sense. And this is the kind of stuff that I keep talking about. We don't never ask no questions. A lot of times in this kind of legal mumbo jumbo, they'll say something. And if you don't we want to analyze what you just said, so that way we can hold you. Okay, so now I need to follow up with what you just said and follow and let you explain that, because we don't do that. And they just and that's it. And you just take it and run with it. And they're like, man. I'm sweating that one. Okay, so let's look at this other one here. This is the criminal minutes. I have never seen one of these before personally, so I don't even know what we're looking at. I, Joshua Powers, Deputy Clerk, certify the official record of this proceeding is an audio file. Defendant, preliminary hearing.
I'm looking at what it says. They continue to preliminary hearing. It's basically how they have preliminary hearings in state court as well, which is to see if they have enough evidence to hold. It looks like the defendant's counsel made the motion to continue, and it's a detention hearing, which I'm sure that it will meet, even though it's just rug crumbs right now, that there's if it's trafficking in, there's a standard where you get held unless the prosecution agrees to let you out on rehab or something. He don't seem like a rehab type of guy.
Why, it's Kentucky, Jenny. It's Kentucky. They might need a bed. They might need a bed.
I think he's going to be held until the indictment comes down.
Send Michael Clark in there, baby. And the preacher might be able to exorcise the demons.
Send you the ark.
I am to exorcise the demon. Oh,
that's a new one. But does he travel?
Oh, yeah, I'm sure he does. I'm sure he does. Okay, here we've got an exhibit and witness list. Can you read that to us and explain what we're looking at?
It says that the witness, which they can testify to hearsay, they had the DEA task force agent, then some exhibits, and it looks like exhibits. I would really be interested, which we won't see the photographs. I would love to see the evidence they collected and photographs and I just think I'm going back to the ripe deer carcass. I mean, I think it might have been hiding out for other smells and scents.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I'm sure. I am sure. He's been doing this for a long time. If this guy is a serial unaliver, he's been doing this probably since childhood.
Well, he had all those animals. You haven't brought up all those state cases where they just charged him like the grouper troopers, which is what I call like Fish and Wildlife. When I was in Florida, we'd call them the grouper troopers. But they just charged him with like having a turkey beard, which I don't know what any of this stuff is, but not registering deer heads and he had like a full raccoon or a full bobcat stuff. I don't know. Like could you imagine this place? Like all these ropes, all these pew-pews, all these bones of animals. I mean, it leads back. It's the whole triad of like unloving animals. I'm sure he probably urinated in his bed when he was a kid. And then unaliving. You got those three things. And I'm sure he's probably urinating in his cell right now.
Yeah. These guys don't tend to do so well.
No, because he's gotten along with it for so long, and they've known about it for so long, and he finally gets caught because you had a DEA agent that's new that is like, this is a big deal, boys.
Well, think of all the people that are in prison now because of him. He's
Oh,
going to go
yeah.
there, and now it pops out that he was an informant this whole time. Everybody's going to know who they were dealing with. They're not going to be able to put him in general population, but they'll probably give him a bond. They'll probably give him a bond and a $5 million bond. Okay, here's docket entry. I don't know, I guess.
That's still the same. It's another one, and I guess it was from what was continued. And it was who appointed. He got appointed an attorney, which I think that should be looked into with all that property and his family funds. And if he had that many and he was selling that many pills and meth, shouldn't he be able to be able to afford an attorney?
Yeah.
In the federal courts, Eastern District is one of only 2 districts that don't have a public defender's office. So there is a CJA list, which private attorneys in the Eastern District, I'm not on that list yet. I want to be on it. But they get appointed and paid. So they each person that qualifies for a public defender or would have been in a different district, they get a private attorney that has their own private practice that handles their case.
That's unbelievable. He's got enough money to pay for an attorney.
He can sell his house. He can sell something.
He's got enough money. Listen, those informants, don't they get paid too? They get paid. The way that I understood it, whenever they take somebody down, those informants get 30% or something like that. They get a percentage of everything that they confiscate. They're not going to get.
I'm not sure. I know that with different types of informants, I think you're thinking whistleblower statutes with white collar crime.
Maybe it's the prosecutors. Maybe it's the prosecutor's office gets so much percentage. Somebody gets a percentage of the money every time that they do that. The percentages, I forget what it was, but I could have swore that the informants get paid. I've seen that in other cases. Are you not familiar with that ever?
I don't want to speak on with this type of case or whatever he was getting because I'm not for certain what he was. I mean, he has so many pills. I mean, you just don't accumulate 6,000 oxycodones from a prescription where you broke your arm. You don't accumulate 7-8 kilos of meth. I mean, I don't know what he was getting in this part of the relationship. Maybe just not arrested.
Well, I mean, it could be. Let's see. Not right now. Okay, yes. Okay, so I just Googled it. This is just an AI answer, but it says yes, career or long-term informants are paid by the DEA for providing information and assisting in narcotics investigations, with some earning substantial amounts over time. I told you, I knew it.
He definitely was a career.
Yes. Payments are based on the scope and impact of the information provided, with mechanisms in place for large payments and increased scrutiny for significant sums, according to the Department of Justice Office of the Inspector General. For information and assistance, how informants are paid. Informants are compensated for providing narcotics-related information and actively assisting DEA agents in their investigations. I want to know I want to see that pay ledger. I want to see the pay ledger. Payments can differ significantly, with some informants receiving substantial sums over many years, while others may be paid less frequently for specific pieces of information. Examples of large payments: past cases show informants receiving millions of dollars. I told you, I knew it. Millions of dollars over several years for their work, with some being described as career informants. I think we can classify him as a career.
Well, and look at what he had. What kind of, who was he informing on where he was able to have this much stuff in a
This much
jail cell?
power.
What type of person was he informing on that they decided to look over him?
Exactly. And look here, this tells us oversight and authorization of payments. Internal policies. The DEA has policies and oversight mechanisms to manage informant payments. So that means it went up the chain. You know, it wasn't just the low level screwing this up. This went all the way up through, because they're not just going to pay anybody. They're going to be they're going to scrutinize who they're paying, especially how much they're paying. And if it's big money, they're going to do their research. They're going to know who they're giving this money to. I mean, come on. Approval for large payments.
She froze up. We're doing well. Somebody else's chat froze up. I read earlier where somebody is asking if I had a 3-legged dog. Yes, I have a white 3-legged dog. I don't know if you've seen me walking in Whitesburg. Who was it that saw me with it? She stayed at my mom's all week, and I went and picked her up. I met her near the Phelps exit. I'm from Pikeville. Everybody's talking. I'm sorry to hear about your daughter that got victimized. I believe it's Jughead. I've been trying to follow along with the chats. That's horrible. Nobody should be a victim. You should be able to protect yourself too. I hate that happened to her. I hope that justice was received on the end of the person that hurt her. I'm not reading all these chats really fast, so I don't know. I'm sure that there's been an update in the chats, but I was reading about how I believe it was Jughead said something horrible happened to his daughter in the chats.
Oh.
It was somebody, but I hate to read that, but I hope that whoever caused that harm, justice.
Yeah. Yeah. Here's the charges and the arrest complaint. It says that the sheriff's office obtained a second warrant for more of the property owned by the above. I was requested by the sheriff's office to execute the search warrant on the property and the buildings located in a
She froze up. This is in regards to all those turkey beards and animal skulls, and I don't know. I'm not a hunter. I'm not a gatherer. I don't even go to the store much. But this is just what KSP, this is just what they arrested him for state charges. There's nothing in regards to the rugs, nothing in regards to the guns or the bones. It's just animal grouper trooper stuff.
And, he could be a hunter. Okay, that's great. But can you imagine the kind of...
Well, let me pull up my one. I sent her this stuff, the complaint. So let me pull it up. I don't know why she's freezing up now. She was doing really well. Scotty Shelton.
There we go.
I got to jump off here for a second and pet L, so I'll mute my mic.
Okay. All right, honey, go ahead. I'll pull this up. So hopefully we won't freeze while she's gone. But if we do, just hang on. We'll be right back. Okay, so this is the court record for this Scotty Shelton fella. So he had a complaint against him, it looks like, from Fish and Wildlife. Here's these charges. Illegal take. So he was a poacher, is what he was. He was a poacher. Oh, you don't hardly hear much about poachers anymore. But that's exactly what this guy was. I mean, he was a poacher of people, too. Allegedly. At least we suspect him of being a serial unaliver with his torture chamber. I just blows my mind. And these were charged on 8/20/2025. 8/20. These were just last month. That was just this month. 8/20/25. What's today? 8/27. Does that mean they charged him? I guess they charged him with those charges whenever they raided his house, is what that is. Is that right? What was the date of this other stuff? Yeah, 8/20. This is his uniform citation here.
What
Jenny,
did I miss?
I was just going over the 8/20. So they charged him with all of these. He's a poacher, is what he is.
Yeah, I thought I heard you say he poaches people too.
Yeah, so that we suspect him for poaching people too.
Well, he's got those 4 charges, and then I believe on the other citation for state court, he's got like 20-some poaching charges.
So is that what he's being held in there for right now?
No, I hope not. No, he's being held for the civil complaint for the DEA. I mean, I'm going to look and see on CourtNet, but I don't think that they hold. I don't think he's got like.
Look, these are on 8/12.
That 8/12 is when the offense occurred, so that would have been. They would have got. That offense would have occurred, and from what you were reading, I haven't read over it since a day or two ago. Then it said that they got another warrant, so then they found more animal, deer, wild turkey. They found it when they went back. They found more stuff that they didn't find the first time around.
Yep, you're right.
When do you ever hear of somebody being charged with that? And then they're not charging him. They could have charged him with the drug crimes and then him be fairly indicted on them later on, and then the state just not pick them up. That happens all the time. The rug charm, whatever. But we're talking about a crime, so I can say it. But they could have charged him state-wise, and then he'd be federally charged later on. But they just dismissing the 6,000 pills that he had.
Look at this.
Poached him. Got him poaching.
Wow. I was advised that they found a freshly harvested 2-point buck in the garage, rotting. A 2-point buck. That's a baby. But listen, I think this guy would probably be poaching a baby if he could too. So, I mean, look at what we're talking about here. After I arrived on scene, I discovered one bobcat skull, 2 mounted bobcats, a hawk's head and feet, 20 deer skull and skull caps, 1 turkey beard under 7 inches, 1 turkey beard over 10 inches, 1 turkey beard attached to feet and spurs under an inch, 1 turkey beard attached to feet and spurs over an inch. After reviewing the telecheck game records, it was found that the above had never checked any animals in and is in illegal possession of all wild game found at the residence. Wow.
I've never been hired to defend a poacher. I wouldn't even know where to begin, or that you had to check in. I don't even know what is a turkey beard and feet. Is that like an entire intact turkey? I don't know. I don't know. Those pictures are probably gruesome.
Well, and they said skull caps and stuff like that.
Yeah,
like, I'm imagining that movie. I don't even remember what the name of it was, but they had a monkey stuck and his little head was sticking on the table and they had cut his head off.
Was that like a cannibal movie or no?
I think it was like
and they were eating the skull.
They cut around and they took the top of the skull off and the monkey was alive and they just started eating the brain with fork.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. That no, that's gross.
I think it was on like Indiana Jones. You remember Indiana Jones movies? I think it was on something like that, but that's what it makes me think of when I hear
Indiana Jones was that gruesome.
I could be wrong. I don't know what movie it was in, but I remember being little and seeing that, and it just stuck in my mind. It traumatized me.
I was traumatized by the Goonies with that guy. I was like, hey, you guys.
I did a short that had Detective Stamper on the stand, and then that guy. It was so funny. Sorry, Detective Stamper. It was funny. Anyway.
Okay, people are saying they need trigger warnings soon. We're not talking about any more poaching.
Well, if it was in Indiana Jones, I feel sure it was not real. Oh my goodness. My goodness. My goodness. Well, do you have anything else that you want to show or talk about or?
No, I just find this interesting.
Very.
I'm sure there's more to come. I'm going to be following up on it. I'm going to be watching it. The indictment, I'm wondering what the federal indictment, what it'll have to come out within 30 days, and the 30 days is already taken. So I wonder what's going to come in it. Are they ever going to address, or is there anything about the one bone? Isn't it illegal? I don't know. I'm going to ask ChatGPT about Indian bones and sacred burial grounds. Is that just something that we hear about? I mean, don't they have, you can't remove Indian bones from certain lands that they're buried on? That's just suspicious. The whole story. There's more to it.
Oh, I listen. I am so intrigued in the drug part of this story, with as much drug trafficking as what was going on, and the DEA supervising this guy.
And
What
then
is
them
this
knowing about, then them knowing 5 years ago about some poor little girl being restrained in a jail cell.
I bet we will not ever hear from her. And
Oh
say,
no. And then here's the thing too that's weird is how the affidavit, they say that they were told about this jail cell, and from my best recollection, they then found the jail cells described when they were on the property on the 12th. If he was such a super informant and they were making contact with him in the past, why have they not seen that cell before? I mean, when somebody 5 years ago was like, hey, check out the picture, this Scotty Shelton might be need to be looked at for a jail cell, why aren't you going to look for it then?
well, you have not been to that property in 5 years. You've not been to that property, because if you had, I guarantee you would have smelled the odor if you had been there. You wouldn't have needed a tip. You would have smelled it. So and why have you not been to that property? If this guy is such a big confidential informant, you would think that this handler, whoever he is or she is, would have at least been there at some point in time. And they're, like I said, they're going to hear the rumors. Rumors are everywhere. You don't have a torture chamber like that. People missing, smells, drug dealing, and not have rumors floating around everywhere. You just don't.
And London is it's got a major interstate. From what I believe. And interstates, I mean, that's drug trafficking right there. And people go missing. I'm sure there's rest stops.
Yes.
There's a lot to look into that is not going to be looked into, or that's already not been investigated and can't go back and be investigated.
You got a lot of serial unalivers who are truck drivers.
Oh, definitely. I believe that.
And they work together. Some of them work together. Like, I know, most serial unalivers are, single. They don't. But this is a new world that we're living in. This is not a criminal 101 of 1960. They have evolved with internet. They've evolved with technology. They've evolved with their torture.
Well, there's the FBI, I believe that they have their own investigation in regards to truck drivers, and because where they can pick up somebody in one state, and usually it's people that work, people that are not thought of high in society, even though everybody matters. They call them lot lizards and stuff. But they pick them up in one state, and then they're dumped off in several states over. I mean, they're the wild west of not being checked. And of course on CBs they come up and they'll say, cop right ahead, so they all have warnings and stuff. So I know the FBI is investigating this whole network of truck drivers.
Listen,
which is all over the country.
this Smex offender that lived next door to me for the 2 years that I worked on from home. I had a headset and I worked on the phone all day, and all day long this guy is poor. He doesn't have a job. He doesn't have any money, so he very rarely ever has power, electricity in his house. He sure doesn't have TV or a phone, right? But what does he have? He has a CB. And he all day long he'll be sitting outside on his porch with that CB, and he'll be and he talks on that CB all day long, and it would come in, the radio frequency or whatever would come in on my headset all day, and I would have to listen to his voice all day talking on that CB. And he was talking to anybody that would talk to him. He didn't care who it was, just anybody that would talk to him. And they're all perverted.
Is it like Breaker 19 or something like that?
Yeah. Oh, it's Kentucky. It's Kentucky, Jack. Come back. Just stupid. And like, he ain't driving a truck. He's sitting outside on his porch talking to anybody that would talk to him. So, somebody else that's going to be in that kind of mindset, you just never know who's going to talk back to him.
And that's the thing, is if one of them has abducted somebody, it's a free for all, and they're going to say, with truck drivers or serial unalivers in today's day and age, if they work with each other, they're like, hey, I've got, somebody here. Do what you want.
Well, okay, so this is one thing that I talked about before, was the problem that we have up in these hollers, these poor, uneducated homes, poverty-stricken, uneducated, drug addicted, and you've got, little kids. Mommy wants to send the 8-year-old little girl up in the holler to the Smex offender's house to get her a cigarette, because she ain't got no cigarettes, but she knows that Smex offender is going to fill her up on her way back out the door when he gives her that cigarette. Those things are serious. Like, do you know how much damage that kind of stuff does to these little girls? Because we're looking at the adult product in what we're talking about, with the Smex offender or the Smex abuse stuff that we're talking about. You end up with
that kind of damage they never recover from, one way or another. I'm blessed to have never experienced that, and I had a great mother, and my father never did anything like that to me, but I can't imagine the damage mentally and how it would do to somebody, especially if your mother or your father sent you up there willy-nilly to go get a cigarette, and they knew what was going to happen.
It's that fast. It happens that fast. Once it happens once, the shock is over, and nothing happens. And so then the next time you're alone with them, I was that little girl, and I know how they are. I mean, just anything they can get. Bill Meade is a perfect example. Oh, Uncle Bill Meade, Ben Fields' uncle, who was a fire chief of a fire department. From what I've found out, this man was just always a perv. Everything that he said was sexual in nature. He was always coming on to the girl. Any female that come within distance of him, he had something sexual to say, or was trying to feel on her with these old nasty hands. I know those men, And a lot of them, the wives will turn around and leave the room knowing.
Saying that a lot of the wives will turn around and know. And also, it happens to boys as well. I think Julie without an E stated that. And boys and girls both can be victims. I don't think there are very specific. A person that preys on young kids will prey on a boy or a girl, whatever's in it. I don't know the people that Elizabeth talks about. She wants to know more about Ben Fields and the jail. Any good place to start? That's more Elizabeth's undoing. I'm not from Whitesburg, so I honestly did not know anything or heard any rumors about what was going on before things that went down on September 19th. I moved here back in 2021 and just I've kept to myself, but I did not know anything. And Elizabeth knows I did not know.
Yeah. Jenny, listen, we've only got a couple female lawyers in Whitesburg, and it was you and Ashley Sturgill. And Ashley Sturgill, we know, is married to the chief of police in Whitesburg. But, she's about your age, ain't she?
No, she's 10 years younger than me.
Oh, is she? Okay.
But she's from Belfry, too. She's from the Belfry area, too. She's not from Whitesburg either.
No, she ain't. And that's what I was going to say. Neither you or her were part of the legal circle, so to speak, down there in Whitesburg. I remember talking to her one time, and she told me, because I asked her how she felt being a woman, down there around in that circle of men. And she told me that she just put her head down and tried to keep her mouth shut and not be seen. That's what she said to me.
I just keep to myself. I mean, I've always just kept to myself. People may think that I'm extroverted, but really I'm introverted. I have few friends. I love the friends I do have, but I keep my circle small. And my mom always said my big thing is I don't trust people, which in the line of field I'm in, you don't trust people. It's better not to.
Yeah. Jenny is very much, she's a lot more skeptical than I am, and it helps me because I'm like, oh, I believe them. And she's like, I don't. So
even if I do, I'm like skeptic. Let me ask a couple questions.
Yeah, she helps me a whole lot. Think things through, because people lie. I wanted to address that tonight too, so I'm glad that I thought about that. People lie and people exaggerate and people sensationalize, and very seldom do we as human beings repeat what we heard the same way. And that's just human nature. It's just part of the human being. I don't know. But, I don't think it's always intentional. But then again, you've got times where people are intentionally, trying to get over on you. And I know that with what we're talking about in the bigger picture of corruption, this sexual abuse, the sexual favors, and all that kind of stuff in the legal system, both things can be true, okay? So we look at some of these women or participants. Let's not even say women, because it's men and women, both. So we look at the participants in some of these, private parties and whatever, and they were consensual. There wasn't any kind of, from what we're hearing so far, a lot of this stuff was consensual, in nature. But we can say, yeah, this person is a liar. Yeah, they lie all the time. Okay, yes, they are. This person is a thief. They've been caught stealing. They've got convictions all through their record. Okay, yes, they're a thief. They steal. This person over here, they're just not. They're just a crappy human being. They crappy mom, don't take care of their kids, da da da. Okay, we can say all of these things. But if this man over here who has a big position or whatever, if he stuck his thing somewhere that he shouldn't have, that's all that she wrote. It don't matter. She's a lying POS. She can be the biggest lying POS that you ever met. Okay. But if he still stuck his thing in it, it's all she wrote, you all. It doesn't matter. Does that make sense? Both things can be true at the same time. You want to say something?
Well, a lot of people we would akin it to, and it's not about somebody lying or whatnot, but people hear something, and when they repeat it, they say it a little bit of a different version of what they hear. It's like the telephone game that you used to play as a kid, or the whisper game where you would whisper something into somebody's ear. They would hear it differently, and it would go all the way around the circle. And by the time that you whispered, like, Mama burnt the bread, it got back around after 20 people, and it was the duck fell on his head. Or just, it's completely different. It's the whisper game, as in people don't intentionally sometimes pay attention. People don't intentionally try to say something wrong. They just hear it different. And so when I was at the NAC, the National Advocacy Center, when I was a prosecutor, we did the whisper game, and it was to deal with a crime, like a fact pattern of eyewitness. And what somebody read from the beginning, you didn't read it from whatever. And we tried our best to state, this and this and this. But everybody, there's always some slight variation. So in the end, it's going to be different, even though nobody has any ill intent to say it differently.
Yeah. But, I know that it's easy to get stuck on, because one of my friends, we were talking today, and she said, I don't think it's right that somebody who worked at the jail, who was a former jail person, would come out and, tell all this stuff on everybody else and not tell what they did, because they were also part of it. And I said, well, that's the thing. Like, if somebody would come out and say, I was part of it, and this is what I did, and I'm so ashamed of myself. I'm so sorry that that I did it. I felt manipulated. I felt pressured into it. If somebody owned their own part of it, I think it would be accepted a lot more. People have a really hard time with saying I'm sorry. And
people mess up. People
Yeah.
mess up all the time. You own it, you get my respect more than trying to just dilly-dally around it and try to hide the fact. You own up to what you did, you got my respect.
Well, what is the whole thing? We've heard this. I mean, it's not the crime that gets you caught, it's the cover up. It's not the crime that gets you caught, it's the cover up. And oftentimes the cover up ends up being a whole lot worse than the initial crime, because you've got one lie has to cover another lie, has to cover another lie, has to cover another lie. And before you know it, you're so far down that there ain't no digging yourself out, and now you've become a criminal. Now you've become part of it.
Well, usually the original crime is not as bad as what the cover up is. Like, we'd always say when I worked in Florida as an attorney, come to destined on vacation, leave on probation. And then people would get violations, which I still handle in Kentucky. I can call up, when people go, college students go on spring break and they do stupid things and they get a citation, and they can either choose to pay the citation and not have a court appearance, but chances are they're drunk and they forget that they got it, and then they don't show up for court. They got a bench warrant out for them and they get arrested. I don't know, going to EKU, going to class, whatever. And they get in trouble more, which I can usually resolve and say, they're a good kid, they'll pay the citation, let's drop the bench warrant. But you get in more trouble running from what you did rather than what you originally did.
Well, we see
and
that
people are commenting on my information, and Elizabeth will put that down because my Facebook seems to not be working. My telephone number, if you want to reach me, and she'll put it down, is 606-303-2831. And also you can reach me at attorney Jennifer Taylor, ATTORNEY, Jennifer JENNIFER, Taylor TAYLOR @gmail.com. You'll put that down. I know last week we didn't have it down. I practice in state and federal criminal, and I do handle some Florida if it's simple. I have 18 years experience, and me and Elizabeth were instant friends because we may have had disagreements on some stuff, or me saying, Elizabeth, you need to be skeptical, or don't give everybody the benefit of the doubt. But I respect people who agree to disagree. And she respects that too.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yes. From the moment I met Miss Jenny, she has been one of my best besties in the world. I love you.
And I think we met because I disagreed with you or something. But I said, this is another part of the story. Or this, what if this happened? Hypotheticals.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, listen, this is just a part of life, you guys. Not everybody's going to like you, and that's okay. And not everybody's going to agree on everything. So many people might agree with me on some things, and then I say one thing and they get all mad.
You'll never disagree with somebody 100%. Period.
Yeah, no, you're not. And so we just got to be able to agree to disagree. And try to find out what we do have in common, what we can talk about that's worth something. I wanted to mention our power bills are getting ready to start going all haywire again. Now, me and a gentleman by the name of Steve Brewer, me and him started
She started a not club, but a petition or something back in the day about us not fighting their power bills. It's a monopoly. I am not working mostly out of my office. I'm working mostly in my house. One, because a lot of my people are incarcerated or out of the county. But two, if I work at my house or at my office, my power bill is $400 or $500 a month on top of my house bill. I'm going through menopause. I need it cool. I can't afford $1,000, $1,200 a month for both business and house. So, yes, but Angie Hatton, I'm dropping names. She lost to Jacob Justice in either the state representative back in the day, and she decided not to run again. She's a local yokel from Whitesburg.
Jamie Hatton's
so
sister.
This year appointed her as on the power utility board or something that monitors. I don't have a problem naming her. Me and her, we have not ever really.
So
we're not friends.
She is Jamie Hatton's sister, and she used to be the state representative. She is an attorney.
She got beat.
Well, I found it very surprising. I pulled up a thing on her the other night, and it had a review, and it gave a horrible review for her as their attorney. But it also said that she did civil rights work, that she's a civil rights attorney. And I just about fell out of my chair when we're having these kind of problems here in Letcher County. And
she is helping the power bills in Eastern Kentucky keep rising and rising and rising. And when she got that job, her job was, as I'm not quite, but I know that it was to help Eastern Kentucky and to relieve the power bills.
Yes. Listen, we were fighting. We have went to all these PSC board meetings back in the day. We did. We got up and we spoke. We protested. We tried to explain to them, you're killing us. We are the poorest counties in America, and we've got the highest power bills in the country. Our church, where they only go in twice a week twice a week, and they've got a $1,200 power bill. How is this happening? They've got it set up to where they've got it set up to where it's all rigged. So there are 3 people that sit on the PSC board, and anytime that the company, because they've got a monopoly on this entire area, there's no other option that anybody has for their power. You have to go through.
No, it's a monopoly. There's
no other option.
No.
And anytime they want a rate increase, they have to take it to this PSC board, and they either have to approve it or deny it. I don't know one time that they have ever been denied. It's always been approved. Always. And they pass on. We dug into this big time. They pass on every single loss that they have as a company, no matter whose fault it is, bad investment, whatever. They tack on that loss to the people, to the customers, and we end up paying for it. There was a power plant in West Virginia that we paid for 3 or 4 times over. They just kept making us pay and pay and pay and pay and pay. Even the attorney general put like some kind of an investigation into something to do with them, but not a damn thing happened.
Don't happen. Nothing happens.
And then Andy Bashir appoints Miss Hatton, Angie Hatton, to the PSC board. Well,
She's
Miss Angie,
lost her representative job, so why don't we give her a job even though she's not elected by the people? Let's give her a job to help Eastern Kentucky.
well,
It's not like it matters to her. I mean, she's comes from plenty of money.
Yeah, they do. And they don't listen. It ain't gonna hurt them. They're gonna be able to pay their power bill this month. They're gonna be able to pay it. Anyway.
She got appointed back in, I believe, Jacob Justice. He's not the state representative anymore. He decided to sit down and let another individual, but she's been on there for Mitch Whitaker, who's a great guy. His dad is, I don't know how to say it, but the Eagle Ear in Letcher County. There's this eagle, and they wear a arm, and he like handles the eagle. I don't know. It's an Eagle Ear to me.
His dad is
a great guy. He's an attorney in Wattsburg. He's very smart.
I didn't know that Mitch was a lawyer. I had no idea until the other day. I was looking something up on him. But these are the issues. I noticed that Mitch is very into his job, like he's really down there, like he's doing his thing. But the things that they're working on, that they're so proud of, they're great, but we got a lot more important things that we need to be working on, like this power stuff, our electric bills. Like, this is an emergency. What about all of the waste, fraud, and abuse of all the flood money and just all this stuff? Like, and he's from this area, so it's not like he don't know what the hell's going on.
I'm not a never been an elected official, but I would think that he would need just more than his backing to get support. Some people that have been there longer or from other parts of the state. I don't know. But, in order to make a difference, Mitch is new as can be to being a state representative. That don't mean he can't make change, and that don't mean that he can't cause ripples and waves. But I'm sure that he needs some senior people that backs him in order to make it to affect the change.
But you got to speak up to get those people. If you keep your mouth shut, you'll never get it, But I get it. I get it. Right now, it's not something that anybody wants to talk about. We're still.
I want to talk about my power bill. Us women in their 40s. Whew.
Right. Right. But to talk about this stuff, you have to acknowledge the failures of the past. And nobody wants to do that. They want to just stay in that same way, the same status quo of the way that everything has been done before. And you can't do it. We got to blow it up, unfortunately, to do something different. If we're ever, listen, the definition of insanity is repeating the same behavior, expecting different results.
Or it could just be your name or my name.
But I'm still screaming from the rooftops, and I ain't gonna
maybe
stop.
we could. I don't know. I mean, I know Mitch. He's a great attorney, as I said, super brilliant and means well. With helping the community, perhaps you could get together and get a start that group up again and meet with him and see what his course of action is, because I'm sure once he realizes that I know people are concerned in regards to the power bills, but when the concerns are vocal and it comes from an individual, each individual, why it matters, I'm sure he will try and he will do his best to at least ripple some water, even if he can't make change where he doesn't have as much backing. And it's probably difficult for him too, where Angie Hatton is from the same area and she's got a lot more seniority, even though she's not in the elected official. She's got more say so. Andy Bashir was the one that appointed her. So if Mitch Whitaker is whispering in Andy Bashir or somebody up there's ear, and Angie is definitely, with her 6-figure position, got Andy Bashir's ear compared to Mitch, who's just a young representative who doesn't know what he's talking about, even though I'm saying he does. He's brilliant.
Yeah. Well, it takes experience, it takes trial and error. I am trial and error every day.
Yeah.
I get things wrong all the time. And then, you got to go back and try and say, I'm wrong. I was wrong. I found out the right information. And some people have a harder time doing that than others. They just have a hard time admitting if they were wrong.
Yeah,
But Mitch is good.
It takes a while to find your voice.
I wasn't talking about him being wrong.
But it takes a while to find your voice regardless of what you do.
Yeah, it does.
And find your own style.
Your niche.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. All right.
But
Well, do you want to talk about
I've enjoyed being on here with my serial unaliver. I'm learning. I hope that there's more updates when there's an indictment. I'm definitely looking for it, and I'll definitely be pulling it out. But I don't know why it's not being covered big time. Like, what's going on in London, Kentucky? London, the capital of it's worse than Compton.
That really isn't the definition of insanity. Please stop repeating this. Well, if you have a problem with that, then you need to tell all the rehabs that I've ever been to, because every rehab I've ever been to quotes this as the definition of insanity. Anyway, I'm tired. I'm
tired too. You woke me up from a nap. I woke you up from a nap. It's time to go back to bed.
I'm exhausted. I work 28 hours a day, and I know Jenny does too. All right, guys. Well, we will see you all tomorrow. We got lots of stuff. Like, we took a little break tonight to talk about the serial unaliver that's just unbelievable. Oh my gosh. But we got a ton of new stuff, big stuff in the Letcher County saga. All right, so make sure you come back tomorrow. All right, Lord, thank you, Jesus, for another day being able to come together in your name. Lord, we're so grateful and thankful for all the blessings that you give us, Lord. I'm so thankful for the favor that you give us. I'm thankful for your presence in my life, Lord. I ask that you'll forgive me for my sins, Lord, and just help me to be a better me tomorrow than I was today. I pray that you just keep your light at our feet. Show us the way. Don't let us fall off the side, Lord. Don't let us stub our toes. Hallelujah, hallelujah. I love you, Jesus. I thank you, Lord. I pray that you will heal all of those who are needing a healing. Touch each and every single one of us according to our need. And we will, until we meet again tomorrow, we give you all praise, honor, and glory in Jesus' name, amen. All right.
And I will find, hopefully something will pop up and I'll find something to talk about next week in their realm of true crime or who knows what. A little different perspective. I mean, we touch on local, but you never know.
And Jenny has a standing invitation. She's always welcome and invited anytime, any day. You're always wanted and welcome here, okay?
Thank you. And you all can text me on that number as well.
And I'll put I know I said it last time, I'd put a post up with her stuff, and I just got busy and distracted, and I never did it, but I'll do it this time. I'm sorry.
Peace out, Boy Scout, because she'll say, peace out, Girl Scout.
Peace out, Girl Scout. Bye.